So, hi everybody, my name is Stan. I'm a product director at Aiven, working on our new initiative called Unify, basically building the context layer as part of our data platform. And today I'm going to be talking about why your data catalog is your AI brain. There might be some disagreements, that is fine, but it's actually quite interesting. I think when I was watching Juha's presentation, it feels like we read the same feed on LinkedIn and interact with the same people, but we might have different opinions, and that's okay. So yeah, maybe before we start, like a pattern I keep seeing, when I worked at LA, I was already kind of pitching on that, but I see it even more with AI projects, is that there's this statistic from Gartner that 80% of all data and analytics initiatives fail to deliver value. And now with AI projects, we see an even higher number, which is 85%. And I truly believe that the core issue is context, not just about data actually, but overall that we don't really know what we're doing. So usually we try to build things without really understanding why. We don't have context about the data in our project. We don't know how it connects with each other. Maybe there's some very specific things that we need to know about. And we don't know who owns it, why it exists. And essentially we're asking now an AI agent to do the same job for us. And that doesn't really work well. How I look at an AI agent, it's like a first-day intern at a job, very smart, but has no understanding of anything. And now we go and we give it a prompt and hope, oh yeah, it's going to solve all our problems. Well, it doesn't really work like that. Essentially, agents, they're not magic, right? It's for probability. It's a pattern mechanism. And without context, they kind of cannot really deliver value and create expensive mistakes. And I have this formula in my head that essentially for you to get an output, you take your context quality, square 2 times an LLM. In many cases, an LLM doesn't really matter, and that's your outcome with like giving a task to AI with data, right? And there's this old saying of garbage in, garbage out. Well, garbage context in, garbage answers out, squared. And overall, like I think when we are building agents or trying to build workflows with agents, we often jump into obsessing again with models or new tools. But the most of the work, the most important work happens in the beginning where you build context, right? Whether it is you're building an app or you're doing something with data, it doesn't really matter. Context is the most important thing, and the better you prepare the work for the agent, the better will be the result. Again, context is of all sorts, as Juha mentioned. It can be in code, in conversations, in processes. But in this specific presentation, I want to focus on data and the data context. I think it's the most valuable, structured, and often most neglected. For data, I think context lives in your data catalog. I know people might disagree, but I think still it's like a good place for your context. And it's like a place for agents to have knowledge. And what is a data catalog and what it does in practice in a perfect world, instead of seeing something like this, where you just, for example, for a table have, I don't know, attributes of a table, you would actually have real information of how can this table be used, maybe some specific rules and so on. Often that doesn't get captured in data catalogs. That is more a problem of how we do things as companies, organizations. But yeah, so a data catalog in short, if I look at it maybe from an agent's perspective, it's a set of tools for you to explore your data estate, right? What tables you have, what's the lineage, and in the perfect world, real people would also go and add more information there. But one thing, as also in Juha's presentation, that's how I know we read the same books. You can have, I think in the organization, you can have multiple catalogs. You can have a data catalog, but you can also have your Jira and so on. But you can also have multiple data catalogs themselves, where maybe for a specific domain or part of the organization, you will have your own knowledge hub. For humans, it might not sound logical because you have to go to a bunch of tools and search through data. But for agents, that's fine. That's what they can do pretty well. They can go and explore a lot of information. How am I with the time? Okay, so I wanted to give you a really quick example of that and how that works. So let's pretend you're a retail company and you have a supply chain database. You have columns like extended price, total price, supply cost, and so on. And your CEO asks you like, who are the most profitable customers? So in this case, I did a little demo where essentially I have two tools, but the first tool we're going to have is Trino. Trino is a query engine that basically goes and queries your data, and we connected MCP to it, meaning that an agent can go and query data on behalf of a person. So again, we go and say, find the most profitable customers last quarter. I'm not going to run the query today because, it might give another answer again because models are probabilistic. But essentially, I gave this query and I said to only use Trino and not use a data catalog. Essentially, it started exploring and it started checking for different tables. It started to come up with an answer, and then at the end gave me an answer, right? It's just, it did a bunch of work and then kind of said, this is the answer. But if we continue back, the interesting part of this is that what actually happened is that, first of all, the agent picked the wrong data set from a completely wrong system. It used revenue and called it profit. So basically, totally wrong numbers from a totally wrong place. It also, as Juha said about security, exposed customer PII emails and included return orders without any business rules. Very confident, but very wrong, and you wouldn't be able to detect it unless you knew what you're doing. To fix that, I have a couple of ideas. So first of all, I think we should start bringing metadata with a shift-left approach. We can expose systems through MCP, and we can have automated enrichment. So with the shift-left, what I mean, I really think if we want to build our infrastructure systems for agents, we should start capturing metadata as early as possible. If I would bring draconian rules, I would say before you alter or create a table, you must provide context why, otherwise you will be denied. This is like the perfect way to build context. But I did see in some larger enterprises, they are starting to make these rules like across the whole company, so to make their stuff AI ready. Then MCP as an interface, essentially, MCP is not great. We all know it's going to be probably changed to something else, but it's good enough for now. Essentially, my point, it's a great way for AI agents to go and browse through different tools and try to understand how to work with data or any other thing you would have. And then the first is the automated enrichment. Juha, again, I'm pointing at you. You will probably disagree with me, but I believe that in 80% of cases, you can get good enough answers by using AI to go through systems and generate good enough metadata, at least for certain use cases.
I say 60.
We can, let's agree on 70 and call it a day. But still, I think the important part is you still need human reviews. And again, when we talk about AI generating descriptions, tags, and so on, it is not just look at the table, select 100 rows, and that's it. It is also maybe you have to go to other systems, read something there. So you have like to have a smart agent that will go and try to build the context for you. Another live demo, so very simple, exactly the same as before, but this time we have a data catalog where we basically capture the metadata, partially AI generated, partially human edited. And what we got here, well, I can show you the exact same. I have another chat. We did the exact same thing, and we basically told it to also use Data Hub. I can share the results later in an email if needed. But essentially, if I go back to the deck quickly, man, Macs are so complicated sometimes. Essentially, it found the right table. It understood some of the rules that were defined for the data. It correctly identified all the information, didn't output the PII data. And this is kind of a good slide. Like, so when the AI didn't have context, it overstated profit by 50%, even if we ignore the fact that it used completely wrong data. But even in this simple example, we can see like how big is an error. And this can be like a business decision that can kill a business. So some hot takes. I think by default, your catalog will always be empty. That is an issue we've seen quite often. And my argument, my best solution for you is use AI. Like nobody's going to go unless you're, I don't know, Palantir and spend time building ontologies. So try to fill it up with AI first and then try to fix things where you kind of find issues. The other thing is, yeah, MCP changes everything. Well, now we have skills, but the point is we can now give tools to our agents to go and explore our data estate, build context, and so on. And I think that's very critical for you to use and plan how you would use that in your organization. And then your data catalog should not be a website where you go as a person and search for stuff. It's a place for agents to go, connect via API, and do whatever it wants and query the, I don't know, the data catalog 100 times a minute. Yeah, that's kind of it. My final quote is, context is the new oil. I don't know if you know, but like 25 years ago, Clive Humvee said, data is the new oil. We got obsessed with data, started collecting a bunch of data, didn't know what to do with it. Now that we have agents, we realize, oh, we need context. And we're going to go and get crazy about collecting context. So to me, context is the new oil. Thanks, everybody, and happy to answer any of your questions.